and really quite dilute. I mean, it's hardly visible, is it? So a drying brush, so you've got control. The top one rises up quite a lot, doesn't it? The bottom one is not flat, but it's a lot flatter, isn't it? That's quite important. If you make that too bendy, then the eye gets too big. So really it's much flatter. And really translucent. If in doubt, make it too translucent, and you can always strengthen it. But don't make it too dark. It'll be difficult to change that. And then with the slightly redder version, we'll put that crease above the eyelid. That crease there, that's where the eyelid goes into the skull. Sometimes you can actually use the vermilion for that. Depends on the icon, but it can be, it can be quite a rich red. But we'll go for medium, sort of chestnut here. See how important this is? I'm drying it out. I don't want any blobs. Make sure this is a good distance. People tend to have that crease too close to the black. Make sure this is a good distance. I was just saying to Brian yesterday that when we paint like this on a table, we're looking at it really close, but what distance are people going to look at your icon after it's finished? They're not going to be looking at it like that, are they, like you are? So you've got to keep looking at it at a distance, because things that might seem bright close up when you're painting won't actually be so bright at a distance. So often you've got to overstate a red or green or whatever to work at a distance.
Was that just pure English light red?
It could be pure. I mean, it's about, what I put in about 90%. I might go over it with a stronger red later. So since I've got this mixed, I'm going to put it in a few other places around the nose here. I'm going to go over the tip of the nose with a bright red. You could even use cinnabar if you've got it, vermilion. Good. I'm just going to put a line through the lip. Make sure it's that seagull shape, not straight.
And that's just in what colour?
English light red and black still, the same mix used elsewhere. So now Christ's hair is normally a little bit red. So sort of a, I don't know what you call it. So I'm going to put more black in the red to make a sort of a chestnut, and I'm going to do the brow. But it's quite watery. If you look up close, you see, especially on that one there, at the end, it's sort of just, it's really, really dilute, isn't it? It doesn't suddenly start. So the first layer is really quite, it's accurately done, but it's quite translucent. I'd say only 20% opaque. Otherwise, you have a false eyelid that's stuck on. So I've got quite a dilute mix here. Red and black, sort of chestnut. You may have got your shade right already, but if not, this is the time to adjust it. So it's quite thick. See how thick it is there? That's too strong, so I'm going to put more water in. Remember how this one rises up straight, and about 3/4 of the way along, it begins to drop. All that adds a lot of character. Don't be lazy and just make it an even curve.
So you're not worrying about doing your calligraphic lines where you use your elbow and everything?
You can't really. I mean, you could with that. If it's so small, you've got to use more your wrist. It's just such a short area. But here I will. This hasn't got a sharp corner, so here I'm going to use my wrist more.
Okay.
The principle is the same, but so starting very dilute and very light, and then increasing the pressure. You're going to go over this 3 or 4 times. That one brow shape is actually made about 4 layers. Now the iris is again a chestnut, so we're going to use our red and black. Now the iris is slightly oval normally, don't make it too round because that's scary otherwise. And make sure that only about the top 10% is chopped off. So what you don't want is this. The two extremes are and what you want is sort of so no, yes, no. Right. So I'm just a bit chopped off there. well, that's it. It needs to be a bit more oval. And if his head is turning to the left, and you want Christ to look at us, is the eyes going to be in the middle or slightly left or right?
Okay.
His head's facing that way, isn't it?
All right.
Yeah. So if his eyes keep looking at us and my head moves, my virus has got. So make sure it's slightly to the right of centre. They're going to be fairly darkish, really black, but not too red. Slightly oval. The iris is made up of 5 different layers, so it's not a simple thing. So, but the first is to get the shape right with the chestnut.
Is the outline there black?
So the forward stages. So do these shape, and then your slightly blackened version, you do a crescent, and then add a bit of white to your chestnut and do a halo, and then a pure black for that. There's a slight sort of lightness around the pupil. And you can just see it there. I'll never do the whites, but I'll do it. So with that drying, once I've got this nice eyebrow colour here, so I'm going to use the same for the moustache. If you look at that moustache, we're talking about top and bottom, where is it soft and where does it start quite suddenly?
Soft at the top, touching the nose,
That's really important, that. Yeah.
dark in the middle.
If you make it start really quickly, it'll be like a thick moustache and make it look older.
Yeah.
So it's got to be. So that, again, like with the eyebrow, really dilute and have a nice dilute mix. So we get the top edge nice and gentle. Ensure you've got that change of direction. Don't get lazy and go straight. And some of you have just sort of gone straight. So that makes them look quite grim. But immediately smile, it'll change the direction. So that, make sure you get the change of direction. Actually do it in 2 strokes. Instead of doing one, do that and then turn your board. Basically 2 lines. Basically start off with that, like that, and then make it a nice shape. Don't try to do that in 1 stroke, otherwise it'll, you'll lose that change of direction. Dry your brush toward the end so that you taper off to virtually nothing. This angle, as you know, is more 45. That's almost finishing vertical, so make sure you get a difference. We'll go back to that, but that's all it is right now, I think. So really soft top there, just hardly touching at all. Do a bit underneath there as well. It's shallow, but also a little bit of hair underneath, so a little bit of that red-grey. Since you've got this mixed list, no, I'll leave it there, that's different.
Presumably, if we were going to use any Italian warm ochre, we should use it before we do this?
Yeah. Otherwise, you will sort of dull the dark, yeah. So if you need it, somebody like if you do that and then do all this.
So we won't be doing any more washes, any more glazes after
You
this?
shouldn't need to, no.
No, shouldn't need to.
Don't do an Italian warm ochre until I've seen your work, because some of you don't need it.
Okay.
Some of you do. So here I've added a bit of black to the chestnut for the eyebrow, and really think I'm going to put that now on the eyebrow. Everywhere, or so where am I going to put it?
Just the centre to the, you know.
So nearer the nose and not at the top.
Yeah, not,
So all concentrate at the bottom and that side, not that side. Yeah. It's all part of this transition from nothing to a little bit of brow to really strong at the bottom and closer to the nose. We finish off with virtually 2 or 3 pure black calligraphic lines. But before that, you want to do your modelling, your chestnut getting slightly darker. If it's a grey beard, you don't use black and white, but you use raw umber and white. Same principle with the moustache. Just a little bit of modelling underneath. We're going to finish off, as I said, as with the brow, with pure black, almost black calligraphic lines, but we want to first get that modelling. Dark at the bottom, lighter and more translucent at the top. Okay, so now we're going to do the rest of the iris. So the first thing is to add a touch of white, hardly any, to your red and black. This is difficult to see in the scale, but just around the pupil is a slightly lighter version of your chestnut, like a sort of halo around there. So make this just a little bit bigger than your pupil's going to be. This isn't essential, but it's just a nice little touch. If it's a small icon, I wouldn't bother, but with the largest icon, it's not working very well. I'll just make another mix of red.
Oh, so that's that crescent that you've got there.
Well, you've got, basically, if I can draw crudely. So number one is just to do the chestnut, that's everywhere. Okay. And then, well, I've got another one. So then you get a black and a red, which is that crescent there. Well, I haven't done it, but I'll do that. And then you get a lighter version of that, and then you get a pure black. They're the stages.
Okay.
So that black round the outside is that. This is the red I put on first. This will be the sort of red, light red, and that'll be pure black.
So this is black.
Not almost black, yeah. And this is red, black chestnut, call it chestnut.
Chestnut.
And that's chestnut plus white, that circle there, yeah.
What, the whole circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chestnut with white,
Chestnut plus white,
and that's pure black.
and that's pure black.
Yeah. You can photograph that all with you if you want.
Complicated for such a small little thing.
Like I said, it's not disastrous if you don't put this little halo in, but it's just, I don't know, it adds something to it. I'll put that as a blob. Let that dry. In the meantime, let's mix up as I said, it's almost a pure black, but not pure black for the crescent around. And then I'll leave you to get on with that. I won't do the white yet because I'll be giving too much information to take out. Okay, so this, it isn't just a ring straight around. You see how it starts and nothing gets thick and comes round. So it looks like a crescent. It's obviously going to be darker than your iris, otherwise it won't show up. This brush is actually too big for this job, but I'll do my best. If you get this a bit wrong, there is room for adjustment. When you put the white in, that's umber and white, and this to say your black's gone down too far. With your umber and white, you can sort of overlap and push it up a bit, so you can redefine that shape to some extent with your umber and white. Okay, so I'll get pure black now, and we'll put that iris in, that pupil rather than, it's just a pure black, good strong pure black, no dilution, just a good black spot. Take most of it off. And it's got to be slightly up, doesn't it? Because the top is chopped off, the pupil isn't right in the middle, it's slightly high. I'm not sure if that's dried yet. It's not dried yet. Okay. Someone very gently wave the hair dryer over. So obviously you want that halo of white to be a bit bigger. There's no use putting the black over what you've done. In some cases, the pupil is slightly oval as well. Not essential, but it can be. It may be once you've done it all, you found that the iris is not the right colour. I think mine was a bit sort of dull really. I could probably redo the iris with the chestnut. It looks a little bit.
So you're drawing the pupil slightly off to the side, did you say?
Yeah, I mean, if you see it slightly to the right, so it's not necessary, but often if the iris is to the right,
Yeah,
the
right in the
eyeball,
middle
then the
either,
pupil
aren't
is slightly to the right as well. Don't have it too small.
Because it's a hemisphere.
Yeah. The iconographer Gregory Crew did really large pupils. That gives it a certain soulish feel.
Those people on acid. something. I just blued or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, we were just looking at regular crew last night.
What's that?
Yeah, I can
Okay. So I'm going to put a little wash of a red over that, as it looks a bit dull. As far as I can tell, no blue-eyed people get to heaven. I haven't seen blue-eyed.
So all the Brits are in trouble.
They're in trouble. Yeah. They're pretty pagan people.
Right.
Well, also, all the Greek, whenever you go into a Greek church and it's a Greek iconographer, all the saints look Greek.
Okay, so that's okay. So I'll put a red black over that. So there's a lot more to do on the lips, of course, and the whites of the eyes, but I'll leave that for the meantime. If you're inclined, because we use the same mix, you can do the moustache, that's like the beard, which is on the same principle, in that you've got a dilute mix first, so you've got a lovely gradual transition there, and then you can add more further down. But don't put the black in yet, that's a special trick. So if you're inclined, you can do that, which is exactly the same principles as the moustache.
So, just
So red and black,
red and black.
and quite dilute. Mix up two mixes if you want, but dilute and a stronger. He's not a redhead, but he's sort of chestnut is the term, I think. So don't get confused between the red and the beard, so you don't want to go too far with this. Get the nice shape at the bottom first, and then we'll do the top part. Having put it on, you may find that it's too red or too black, so put this on and then assess if you've got the right mix. Okay, so now we'll blend the inside. Really dry brush, spread out. So if you're an ant walking along, you don't, down this way, you don't want to suddenly come across a change of colour. You want to be able to walk and not realise that it's changing gradually from green to chestnut. You can see how helpful it is to done green everywhere, sort of right through the beard, so it means all that helps to get a gradual transition from flesh to beard. So it's just really the tips of the hairs that are touching. Just keep looking at it to see if you need to. It's just a little bit there. The moustache is distinct from the beard, but it's just a tiny, tiny ridge there, so it's not completely separate, but make sure the moustache doesn't get completely absorbed in the beard, otherwise it'll make him look a lot older. You're gradually getting there. How's that looking, do you think? Some of you have he's become a bit jowly, the white hair has become too big, so this is where you can adjust it with your beard colour. And you might want to adjust if you've lost that curve there, you can use this and red as well to reintroduce that slightly sunken cheek.
On this icon, it might just be the photo, but this is a bit sort of redder there than that, which looks quite white.
Yeah, I'm going to at the end use a stronger red to do all that. I'd started yesterday, but I'm going to go back in and strengthen all that.
Yeah, because I think mine might be the same. Mine looks quite white there, but in the middle.
Toward the end, you do sort of tweaking, when you do a building's finished, what do you call it? Faulting, is it? Or something, it's a name for it. So you sort of go over it and do all those little tweaks.
Snagging. Snagging. Is it snagging?
Snagging? Yeah, snagging.
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 Snagging, yeah.
Snagging.
Wow.
So that hasn't, I'm going to, with the green and the red, I've lost that curvature there a bit. So later on I'm going to have to reintroduce that. Perhaps just put a bit of beard in where it shouldn't have been. Let's see if I can take it off. Try not to take off at this stage. It'll probably make it worse, I think. Okay.
Wow.
Right.
Mm.